Cheney. The Trump campaign says that was about foreign policy. Well, we just played it for our viewers and listeners who heard it. Isn't it possible to make the case without using rhetoric like that?
But Donald Trump doesn't talk like someone who's been in Washington for 30 years. He doesn't
Training
say it the way
guns
I
on
would
her
have said it.
face?
No, but that's not what he said. Mario, you guys know that. Come on. I mean, everybody knows exactly what he was saying. What he was saying is, you're so much in favor of war. Yeah, you played a piece of the soundbite, because in another piece of it, he said he would give her a gun to go stand in conflict as well. You don't normally give a gun to someone that's going to be facing a firing squad, which is what much of the media made it sound like. The point he was making is not a new point. It is a point that has been made by people in both parties for decades, and that is, you're all for war, and it's easy to be for war when you're in some fancy building and you're safe and sound in Washington, D.C., Let's see how much you are for war when you yourself get deployed into combat. That's the point that he was making. That he uses language that maybe is not what we typically hear from someone that works at a think tank. Oh, fine. But I think it's truly not just unfair, it's egregious to see that reported the way that it was, along with other things that are out there. I've never seen such a concerted effort. Look, I've always believed there's bias because no one's unbiased, but I've never seen such a concerted effort like what I've seen, especially in the last 2 weeks, among multiple media outlets in this country, to, in some cases, breathlessly distort and lie about what's being said and to create and manufacture these gotcha moments against Donald Trump. I've never seen it before. It's over the top.
Senator, you are the ranking member on the Senate Intelligence Committee. You also know that former commander-in-chief is not just some guy off the street, and words matter. U.S. intelligence has specifically warned about the risk of political violence in this country. Some of it stoked by foreign adversaries, Iran trying to do that, Russia trying to do that in the days after the election. Are you confident in the security and the integrity of the election?
Well, I'm confident in the security and integrity of the elections, and especially because we have strong systems across this country. It's spread across 50 states. That doesn't mean there aren't going to be problems. We saw problems earlier in the week in Pennsylvania, and they were resolved by a court where people were not being allowed in one county from accessing their on-demand mail ballot at the spot. There are going to be issues like that. They're being confronted at the front end, and those things are being looked at. Look, in the state of Michigan, we know now, and this is not me making it up, I can't believe it hasn't received more coverage, a Chinese national registered to vote and voted. And now he's being charged for doing that, but guess what? His ballot's going to count. We know at least one non-citizen's ballot is going to count in Michigan because they don't know which ballot is and they can't retrieve it. These are facts. Now, whether that's widespread or not, I hope not, but these are things that are happening and they need to be watched at. As far as foreign adversaries, sure. I mean, Iran wants to kill Donald Trump. Iran, this has been fully documented. They are trying to kill Donald Trump. You talk about violent rhetoric. He's the only candidate in this race, and not because I wish this on anybody else, who's had not one but two assassination attempts against his life.
Right.
So, of course, we're all concerned about it.
Right. In terms of the case you talked about in Michigan, we have tracked that the Secretary of State of that state has actually brought charges, has made that public. That individual may actually be deported. May actually be deported because there are laws in this country that punish people when they are illegal and they try to vote in federal elections. That 19-year-old is going to face some consequences.
He is, and he's going to, but his vote still counts. His vote will still be counted.
Understood. I'm just trying to make clear here that there are systems, as you pointed to, as the courts are also playing a role here. I need to ask you about China, though. This massive